Hello, good people. Welcome back to the YouTube channel. My name is Kevin Outa and I am a documentary photographer and filmmaker from Nairobi, Kenya. My intention with today's YouTube video is just to give you a rundown of how I use DaVinci Resolve to edit and color my videos. For the longest time, I was using Adobe Premiere Pro as my main video editing software. I still use other Adobe software such as Lightroom, Photoshop, and Illustrator. But I decided to make the shift from Premiere Pro to DaVinci Resolve, I think sometime last year, because I think for the past, I have been making videos for I think 6 or 7 years, and for the first 5 years of my career I was using Adobe Premiere Pro. It felt very comfortable to me. It was the thing that I was used to, and deciding to make the shift to DaVinci was just so that I can try out something different. It was so that I can move myself out of my comfort zone and even see how I can better my process, mainly in coloring videos, and just seeing how the software works in general. So I have been using it now for I think 1.5 or almost 2 years, and I have developed a sort of workflow within the software that makes it easier for me to work within it and to edit my videos in the quickest way possible. Oh, I've already started eating my words. So when it comes to editing in DaVinci, the thing that I want to show you today is how I organize my footage and other edit assets within the software, to show you my basic process for starting an edit for a video, or for a documentary, because today we are going to be working on the brand video for Manukuto, and I will just show you how I structure my edit, and how at a top level overview of how the edit will go. And the third thing that I will show you is how I color grade my videos in DaVinci. So it hasn't been sort of a harsh change from Premiere Pro to DaVinci, because I think in some way all editing softwares work the same. So if you just understand a bit of the basic principles, it will be easier for you to jump in between the different softwares, as I have, or as sometimes I do. So yeah, that is my intention for today. So just to make my work easier, I sort of organize all or most of my footage within the context of the week in the life videos that I shoot. So this Manukuto brand video was shot during week 5. So as you can see here, this is the project for episode 5, or for week 5 of our week in the life series. The way I have organized this folder, this project, is basically the same way I organize all of my projects when I edit. I have one folder with the raw footage that just has like the assets that we shot, or the assets that we got from the shoot that we have. Then I have a folder for audio. So this folder usually has 3 subfolders: one for the background music, one for any sound effects, and one for any sort of ambience that I would like to add in or add on into the videos. And then I have another folder that has templates. This is just basically any downloadable assets that I will use in the video. This includes stock video, stock footage. That's the same thing. This includes stock video, any sort of animations, anything that I have downloaded, or that I have gotten elsewhere, or that I have used before that can be used in this video. And then I also have a folder for my timelines. This is basically where I put all my timelines for the project, because for example, for this project, if we look at the episode 5, this is supposed to be called YouTube. if you look at episode 5, we will have different edit timelines for the different project areas, if I can say that, because I have the main one, which is the week in the life video that is for YouTube, and then we have the brand video for Manukuto, that will be another timeline, and then we have the BTS and the shorter social cut downs that will also be in different timelines. So I think that just makes my work easier to know the different timelines or the different areas of the projects that I am currently working on, and help the project move along in the best way possible. So I also have a folder for compound clips. In Premiere Pro, these were called nested clips. And the thing that this is just when I have combined any sort of clips into a compound clip, I will put them here so that they are not mixed among the different clips that I have here. This is basically how I organize most or all of my projects. I think one of the most important things for me, anytime I get into a project, is actually how I organize my footage before the edit and in the edit. So that just makes the process of editing a bit easier for me. Yeah. The first thing that I do when I start editing these brand videos or documentaries in general is I usually know the clip that I want to start with, because if you can see here, most of these are sort of the test shots. Yeah, so the first ones are the test shots, and I think now as we get into here somewhere, we start seeing the final set or the final setup that we had. So yeah, so I know for how I structured this brand video, or how I structure most of the brand videos that I do, is I usually have 3 questions. So when I shoot, I like to have 3 different clips where each clip represents a different question. So I find that this is a bit easier for me, because I ask the one question and let the subject just speak through the entire clip. And if they make a mistake or they feel like they want to start over, I do not cut. So this makes it easier for me, because I know that when I get into the edit, I know that maybe clip number 10 is the one that has question number 1. Now that because I know that this clip has question number 1, I will drag that clip onto the timeline. So I'll just follow up with the other 2 clips that have the other 2 questions. And then I also, because I usually shoot using one camera, I will also give the subject a chance to introduce themselves again, or to speak about something that they would like, or something that they are passionate about. And also during the shoot, I will see if there is something that I can ask from the 3 questions that they have answered, to help just sort of differentiate the angles that we have. So let's say if our client she specializes in selling and distributing perfumes. So when you ask her about the question that I asked was, what is the gap in the industry that you are in? So when she speaks through that, and maybe she highlights something, I will focus in on that in the second angle, just to help cut when I'm cutting the interviews together, just to help it like sort of flow. I don't know if you're getting me. Yeah, but I think that helps me a lot. That really helps me a lot. So what I will do is just drag in the questions, and then go through them one by one as I cut them down. So when editing, I also love writing down some of the key story points so that I know how the story flows and know how, and start organizing it like sort of a paper edit. I don't have sticky notes, but the way I write them down and organize them, it helps me just to know this part was important, this part wasn't as important. It's important just for me to see how the story flows before I actually start editing, so that I can organize the story before I start editing. Yeah, so when working on documentaries or on brand videos such as this, things that have an interview, I think the thing that is important is that you have to start by organizing the spine of your story. That is by editing and organizing your interview section first, so that you can know how the story flows and then see how you can incorporate the different B-roll that you have captured along the way. So if your story flows, then the visuals will just add on to how the story flows. But if your story doesn't flow, the B-roll or any other extra assets that you may have will just be sort of a distraction, if I can say that. So you have to just know how to organize the spine of your story first by going through your interviews and then seeing how the rest of the story will flow. So right now I am at 11 minutes. My desired output for this video is 3 minutes or less. So I can see that I have my work cut out there, but that's not a challenge, because the thing that I am trying to do with these brand videos is sort of humanize the brand, because people know the brand as a brand that sells perfume, but do they actually know the person behind the brand and their motivations for doing what they are doing? So that is my intention with this sort of videos. So yeah, let me just focus on trying to cut down this interview, and then we see how it goes. I think I don't want to rush through it also, but I just want to help you understand how this is possible. So the thing that I do is to listen through the entire interview, and then now go into it and start cutting down the arms, the parts where she made mistakes, and the parts where she wanted to start again, so that now when I am finished with that, I can start organizing the different parts of the story as I see they would flow. Yeah. So I know that is going to be a lot of work that I don't know if I can do it all in one video, because I have to go through the video and then go through this video and then go through the B-roll, and then yeah, it's going to be a lot. But I think the most important thing when working with this sort of interviews is to focus on building out your story spine first. Yeah. So I think that's sort of it. That's sort of it. I usually just like watching back these interviews because they are so raw, they're so unfiltered. And even the parts where the subject tends to correct themselves, or the part that we're just speaking, they're usually like the most entertaining parts of the video or the shoot rather, because you see a bit more of them. And I also like I think that's why I also like shooting with my friends, because there's also there's already a level of trust between us, so it makes it easier somehow for them just to get comfortable in front of the camera. Because to be honest, being in front of the camera is not easy. I know that because I do this. I have started doing this on a regular basis. So, and I just find myself also confusing myself, tripping over my words. So I know that it's not easy. So when you already have an established sense of trust and understanding, it just makes it easier. You can laugh in between the questions, and then that makes them even more comfortable. Yeah, so it's good. It's good. We're good. So now the thing that I want to show you next is how I color grade my videos. I will not say that I will show you how to color grade, because I am in no way, shape or form a professional, but I have sort of built a workflow that works for me. So I think that the thing that people say is a bit challenging for them when shifting from something like Premiere to DaVinci Resolve is the node-based color grading or color correction, if I can say that. When I was using Premiere Pro, and also now when I'm using DaVinci, I sort of did not like how the S-Log2 to Rec 709 LUT from Sony looked, because I felt like it made my footage look too pink or something like that. I don't know if it's something that also has to do with darker skin, but because of that, it forced me like to sort of create or develop a way that I can reach the Rec 709 correction without using any LUT. And I feel that this is good because although the purpose of a LUT is to make your work easier, sometimes the conditions you shoot in are not the same. So the LUT, that conversion LUT from S-Log2 to Rec 709 might not be the same somehow, I don't know, but that forced me to now do my corrections from scratch. And I think I love doing those corrections from scratch because each video is different. Everything that you shoot is different. And by beginning from scratch, you start to sort of get a feel of how the video looks, how the different video looks, and you start seeing how it would develop through the edit, if I can say that. In DaVinci, now using the node-based system, you have, as you can see here, this is the node tree for this particular clip. But when you shift here, now you have shifted to your node tree for your entire timeline. So that is where now I put in my final grade. So for the clip, this is where I do my primary corrections and the Rec 709 conversion. So let me just show you how I do this. So let me close this so that we can have a wider area to work with here. The node tree. The base of my grade usually has 9 nodes, each doing different things. So let me just start with that. Disconnect that. I know everyone has their own system. Everyone does it differently. I'm not saying mine is the right way, but I can say that mine is the one that I have found works best for me. So we have 4. Let me just connect them again. Then we name them. Exposure, white balance, let me also let me rename this one first. So this one is usually my saturation, and then we have contrast. So the thing before I rudely interrupted myself, the thing I was saying is I want to look for a good frame. Yeah, I think that's a good frame. So then we move from now. These are sort of my primary corrections. The next node that I will add is a parallel mixer, just to have all these nodes going a bit more organized and looking beautiful. That's option P. Put it here, and then connect everything back to it. And then from the parallel mixer, I have my Rec 709 conversion. Then another parallel mixer, just to split the input to the other nodes that are coming. Yeah, the others that are coming. Yeah, 4. And then from there we have one more parallel mixer where all these inputs will go in, and then now to complete the loop or the chain. I don't know what it's called, by the way, but yeah. Yeah, so these four new nodes usually just sort of mirror the primary corrections. Yeah, so let me do that first. Let me rename this to exposure plus white balance plus and saturation plus then contrast plus. Yeah, so they usually just sort of mirror the primary corrections, and their purpose is just to make sure that the clips that I have actually look the way that I want. So when I am done with these primary corrections, I will just go into this I don't know if I can call them secondary corrections, just to ensure that it looks the way I want. So there are times where maybe I will have all of this and then not have to adjust the exposure in the exposure plus node. Yeah, so I think it's about how it's a matter of preference, and it's just how I want the final video to look. So the point that I usually start from when doing the Rec 709 conversion from scratch is the Rec 709 node. So I will go into the curves and put 3 points, one in the shadows, one in the midtones, and one in the highlights. And the thing that I will do here is just sort of build like an S-curve to the point where I see the image looks good. So you can see pulling down the shadows is already making a big difference in how the image looks. Yeah. So you can see, let me just do a before and after. That was our starting point. When I do the curves, that is how we look. But you can see that it still looks sort of flat. So that's where the contrast and the saturation from the primaries usually come in. So the point that I have seen looks good is starting off at 90 in the saturation node. Yeah, you can see it has brought in a lot of color back. And then in the contrast in DaVinci Resolve is usually usually sort of heavy, so you have to be very careful. You can see that is 1.1, but I think 1.1 also looks sort of good. Let me reduce it and see. 1.05. Okay, let's go with 1.1. I think when you have properly exposed your scene, you can start with 1.1. Yeah, you can, or if you want to. So for the white balance, I usually just pick the dropper from the primaries and then go to like the sort of white point. So this wall that we have here on the camera left, it was white. So you can see how adjusting the Rec 709 and the saturation has made the color shift a bit. So when I put the dropper on the wall, yeah, you can see that it brings me back to a sort of good level. So when I have already, when it gives me the level that I feel that I want, I just go into the temperature and now adjust it to something that I feel looks good. Yeah, so that is our starting point, and that is where we are at right now. You can see the difference. Yeah, so then we jump into the exposure. For the exposure here, I just usually just play with it a bit just to ensure that the image looks well exposed, or exposed to the liking of my eyes or to the liking of the client. And because our client said that she feels like her brand sort of favors the sort of vibey, airy mood, that is the kind of base look that I want to go for. So that is where we are at right now. That was our starting point. After working on like the sort of primary first 4 nodes, I go into the secondary 4 nodes. So what I usually start here with is the contrast. You know me, I love contrast. I love dark and moody vibes, and I love having very punchy images. So we play with the contrast. And then the saturation as well, just to add it in a bit, because I feel like from how I saw it with my eyes, it really doesn't look the same. Yeah, so I think something like that. Yeah, I think something like that. So when you add on saturation, it also increases the overall warmth or the color shift in your image. So you have to go again into the white balance corrector so that you can just make it look as good as possible. So the thing that I like to do with this entire correction is to make the image look natural, or to make it look the way I remember it. Yeah, so I think we are at a good point. If I can say that we are at a good point. So when increasing now the exposure plus, I usually just like to have a point in my shadows, so that when I increase it, the exposure again, the midtones, the shadows are not really affected that much. So it's just about playing with this. And now then, when you see now how it looks, you can go back into the individual nodes and adjust them to your liking. Yeah, so I think we are at a good point where we are right now. So this is where we started from, and this is where we are right now. Yeah, so I think this is just like a sort of high level explanation of how I use Resolve, and I if you see me staring at the screen, it's because I'm trying to see if I like how the image looks from the final point. But I think to me it looks good. It looks like the way I remember it. So when I add on the final color grade over the entire clips, including the B-roll, I will just jump back into the move from the nodes that have the color for the timeline and back into the node tree for the clips, and adjust it to ensure that everything looks good. Because in essence, that is what we are doing. That we as filmmakers, our job is to make things look good. Our job is to make things look as natural as possible, I think. Depending on the project that you're on, let me say that, because I also have projects where I have sort of gone the other way. Yeah, I don't think that there is a sort of big difference with how I use Premiere or how I use Resolve, because I have taken the time to actually learn the strengths of the two softwares. And I can say, and the thing that I think I love doing in Resolve is doing the coloring. Yeah, so it has made my coloring process a bit more easier. It has also made it enjoyable because of how much you can push the footage without it starting to fall apart. But it's also important to note that your edit, whether it is organizing the footage, whether it is arranging the spine of your story, or even color grading, or even color grading, actually depends on how you shoot. Yeah, you cannot shoot haphazardly and then expect to have good results in the edit. You are doing yourself a disservice, and you're also doing your client or the subject that you're shooting a disservice. And this is both for photos and for videos. Your editing software does not make what you have shot better. It just helps you actualize the vision that you have in your head. Yeah, so I think that's where I am at right now. I feel like I have spoken quite a lot, but I hope I have not confused you. I hope I have not confused myself. Yeah, but I hope that this is something that maybe can help you in your process, maybe. If it won't help you, at least I have shared my own process. So if there's anywhere that you can see where I can also improve, please let me know down in the comments. And yeah, thank you for being here. I appreciate you for watching. I appreciate you for engaging and interacting with me and my content. And I will see you in the next one. I hope that when you look at the edit for this video, you will sort of understand how I was working and why I was working in the way that I was, because I know that this video will come out before this video. Yeah, so it's all just, I think what I've learned about this space, the creativity space, is that sometimes you have to learn by doing. Not sometimes, most times you have to learn by doing. You can gather all the research, the knowledge, but actually testing out your skill is what makes you know whether you are in a good spot or whether you need to do better. So yeah, I think that's the end of the video. I appreciate you so much, and I will see you in the next one. Peace, love, and light.